Then things changed dramatically. Militants near the temple complex set off fireworks.
We saw these two fireworks streak out towards the...
Somebody was firing
two fireworks, these homemade fireworks.
In the direction of the army?
In the direction of the army. And then the bullets started pouring in.
And where were the bullets coming from?
From up there.
From there, right up on top of the SkyTrain.
At the time, all we knew was from above and behind us, but now it's obvious it was from the SkyTrain.
Witnesses report seeing soldiers on the sky rail above the temple. These shaky pictures appear to show them aiming their weapons into the grounds.
We were behind a pickup truck and the bullets were coming in over the cab, so at such an angle, ricocheting off the ground and into the building.
And you run that way, yeah?
Well, we ran and we dove in behind. There were two pickup trucks parked perpendicular to the door.
When we spoke on the phone, I could hear the gunshots. I was suspicious, but I didn't think it was serious. I asked her why there was still some shooting, even though the leaders had surrendered. I was worried about her, so I told her to get inside the temple. She said, "I don't really know what's going on, Mom." She told me that.
As the bullets rained down, a man was shot by the temple entrance. The nurses reacted bravely.
We saw that the injured man was still moving, so my colleagues and I brought a stretcher to rescue him. As we were lifting the injured man, they kept shooting at us.
It isn't one or two shots, this is sustained bursts.
Yeah, it was repeated, and every time you thought, okay, that's it, it's safe to move again, it would start again. So here inside a temple, a Buddhist temple in the center of Bangkok that has been identified by all sides as a sanctuary. And people were getting shot and killed in this area between here and the gate.
Not even the medical tent where Nurse Ked was stationed was safe.
I saw Ked falling to the ground face down. I thought that Ked was crouching down to avoid the bullets, but I didn't know at all that the bullets were pouring down on our medical tent. In my mind, I thought my tent wasn't hit. In my mind, I didn't think anybody would do it.
The gunfire was relentless, preventing anyone from helping those inside the medical tent. By the time the shooting stopped, Nurse Ked, face down on the tarmac, was dead.
I think she thought that green cross would protect her, that no one would shoot someone who was so obviously marked as a medic.
Well, somebody up there did.
3 times. 3 bullets.
I kept asking. I didn't believe that my daughter had died. I believed, and so did Ked, that she was not going to die because she was a volunteer nurse. She wouldn't be put into danger.
We walked back here and laid out on the ground. There were 6 dead bodies. The big concern at the time was that we were going to have more.
Nurse Kate was one of those.
Yeah, we knew that now, yeah. At the time I didn't look, but yeah, I understand. I know now she was one of them.
It's unacceptable. I think that they knew that we were a medical team on the ground. They knew that our job was to help society. Even a girl who had already fallen on the ground. Just one shot, she was already dead. They shouldn't have shot her again.
Nurse Ked had been shot dead. So too her young volunteer colleague, known as Bug. He took an hour to bleed to death. Nobody could get to him. Those that tried were shot at, according to his colleagues.
We couldn't believe that this was Thailand. My daughter was hiding in the temple. She was a teacher. She was helping people in the temple. The army dared to shoot her like that?
The army denies sniping at civilians. It said it found these weapons in the temple. Soldiers told investigators they shot into the temple grounds after being fired on from inside and around the temple area.
Isn't it possible that these weapons were related to someone who was in the demonstrators area and who went to hide in the temple? These people might have been involved in the deaths of the 6 people. Those 6 deaths, some of them died outside the temple, but their bodies were moved inside. This is from interviews of many cases compiled by the investigators. So therefore, saying that these 6 people were killed inside the temple is something that still needs to be clarified by the investigation.
This was a designated safe area, and honestly, I spent hours in here. I never saw a gun.
The governments claimed that the footage of soldiers pointing their guns into the temple may have been taken the following day, after the troops had secured the area. However, the pictures we've obtained clearly show fires raging in central Bangkok at the same time as the soldiers are on the sky rail. These fires had been extinguished the following day. A leaked DSI report quoting named soldiers said there was proof the military had been responsible for 3 of the 6 deaths. Human Rights Watch say that among those killed by the army was a medic. It also found that while there were gun battles outside the complex, there was no evidence the sky rail used by the soldiers had been struck by fire from the temple. Throughout the crisis, a joint committee of security forces decided on strategy. They blamed red shirt violence for provoking the confrontations and denied there was a shoot-to-kill policy.
What about Nurse Ket, for example, who went there to
Well, that's one case where I'm still very much interested. And as I said, things are inconclusive at the moment. So it wouldn't be fair for me to make any kind of judgment.
How is it a year on that it's so inconclusive? Why is it so slow?
It's very difficult circumstances. You know, how long did it take you to find out about Bloody Sunday?
Well, I'm an Irishman. I knew the facts of it pretty quickly.
Yeah,
but I would come back to you to a situation we're discussing
but to get it confirmed,
you wouldn't have any problem with seeing a soldier or his commander go on trial for an abuse like that.
If they've abused or violated the law.
International reaction was muted. In fact, just weeks after the clashes, Thailand was elected to the presidency of the UN Human Rights Council. Clearly the world saw a different Thailand to the one experienced by those demanding accountability.
Does it trouble you that, for many people, your legacy will not be as someone who tried to further democracy in this country, but who turned the guns on his own people?
I don't think that's how I would be remembered.
Are you sure?
And yes.
Because a lot of people out there feel you've got blood on your hands.
If that were the description, I don't think that the international community would have reacted the way it did. And I think some people are trying to rewrite history.
There's been no shortage of investigations, but the army remains untouched. Top red shirt leaders, including Thaksin, face terrorism charges. As it moved to crush dissent more widely, the army would accuse its enemies of threatening the monarchy. The military revived an old law. It's called lèse-majesté and carries a jail sentence of up to 15 years for insulting, threatening or defaming the monarchy. Hundreds of cases were brought last year. This is a police station on the edge of Bangkok's city centre. The protesters give a hint of what's going on inside. A Bangkok academic has been told to report here for questioning. Writers, human rights activists and politicians have all faced charges in the last year. In May this year, the Thai army filed charges against Professor Somsak for questioning the content of a television interview given by the king's youngest daughter about last year's crackdown. Though striking for the deference of the presenter to the princess, the controversy surrounded comments she made about the damage to buildings allegedly caused by the red shirt protesters. Professor Somsak had asked why the princess hadn't referred to civilian deaths.